Alright, I'm Paul Holliman. I'm going to be performing the character of Josh by a play by Joseph Zakula called The Heart of Hearing. I was just thinking, this Star Trek convention I went to a couple of years ago, Shatner was there. I always wanted to meet him. I grew up with Captain Kirk, so I'm at this convention. Nerds everywhere, waiting for Shatner. All the other actors have been themselves, answering questions, the odd joke or two, but not Shatner. He comes out and he does his whole stand-up routine, one-liners and all, joke after joke. He'd answer a few questions, but not before he got a few jokes in. Anyway, there was this guy, deaf mute I guess, who would have his questions written on a card which he'd hand to the actors. So he goes up to Shatner and hands his question. Shatner takes it, but without even looking at him, just goes, "I'm sorry, I don't like boys," drops it to the floor, turns his back on him. Now there's like complete silence in the convention hall. Shatner walks to the other end of the stage, and the guy's making these sounds like or trying to ask his question. Shatner ignores him, calls on somebody else. It's a true story. Sick, I guess. I mean, that show means a lot to some people. I remember watching it and thinking of the future. Hope, compassion, possibilities. Wonder if the deaf guy thought that too.
Okay, how did you think that went, Paul?
Yeah, I thought it was very clear. My voice was clear. Probably clearer than it has been in the past.
Okay. So you got some good clarity.
Yeah. Projection was alright.
Did you think you played do you think you connected to the text well?
Yeah, I think so.
In what way?
I know where the person was at the time. He's pretty much like he's talking to a girl, and they're not, and he doesn't really. He's in a relationship already, and this is something that happens once every 6 months. So he's just like, no, reality check, gotta leave, get out, and stop it now. And that's the story that makes him realise that. It's just like a way to go. No, enough is enough. I've got to move on.
Yeah. And your gestures and your physicality?
I think the gestures are all over the place.
They were a little bit, but not unnaturally. I think
Yeah.
you used your natural way of speaking, which was good because it did give a little bit more to the story.
Yeah.
If you were going to do it again, right this second, what do you think you would do differently?
Probably tone the gestures down a bit. Like, but yeah, just more a toned down version, I think.
Do you think you need to do a little bit more projection?
They do. Yes. Yeah, I suppose.
And what do you think you did well?
Well, projection's out. Articulation, I suppose, was.
Okay.
Understanding of character, I think a lot of that.
Do you think this is a good monologue choice for you?
Yes.
Why?
Because it suits me as a person anyway. It's kind of like just take away Star Trek and replace it with Doctor Who.
Yeah, you're not having to perform.
I'm not having to do much in the way of. It's not too far away from who I am, so it's quite a comfortable fit.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was good. I think you need to just a little bit more emotion in there, just a little bit more. Let us know how you feel when showing the story. Because I don't know how you felt about the deaf mute, you know, and I don't really know how you feel about the other chap that turned them away. It was told very matter of factly, but I think let's try in the second time and a little bit more emotion in there. You do need to project more. There were moments where, I don't know, most people were sort of fairly, would have to cram in to try and listen to you. I thought you used the language very well. You know, your pace with the language was very good. But you can afford to throw a few more lines away if you get the emotion on the other lines.
No.
So, you know, for example, you can afford to go, true story. You know, throw it away if you've got the emotion, you know, the deaf mute. Yeah? Let's do it again. Need the volume.
Volume.
A little bit more emotion in there, and let's have a bit of contrast. Oh yeah, less, and try with less gestures. I like the gestures too, that's how I communicate, so that doesn't bother me so much, but just try and control them a little bit. Let them be for purpose rather than nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was just thinking of this Star Trek convention I went to a couple of years ago. Shatner was there. I had always wanted to meet him. I grew up with Captain Kirk, so I'm at this convention. Nerds everywhere, waiting for Shatner. All the other actors have been themselves, you know, answering questions, the odd joke or two. But not Shatner. He comes out and he does this whole stand-up routine. One-liners and all, joke after joke. He'd answer a few questions, but not before he got a few jokes in. Anyway, there was this deaf guy, a deaf mute, I guess, who would have his questions written on a card, which he'd hand to the actors. So he goes up to hand his card to Shatner. Shatner takes it. Without even looking at it, goes, "I'm sorry, I don't like boys." Drops it to the floor. Now there's like complete silence in the convention hall. Shatner turns his back on him and walks to the other end of the stage. And the guy is trying to ask his question, but all that's coming out is, "Ah," or "Ah." Shatner ignores him. Calls on somebody else. In the end, the guy just picks up his card and walks away. It's a true story. It's sick, I guess. That show means so much to some people. I remember watching it and thinking of the future, hope, compassion, possibilities. I wonder if the deaf guy thought that too.
Good, well done. Okay, did you feel better doing that one?
Yeah, slowed it down a bit.
So what did you do, sir?
I slowed it.
Slowed it down?
Slowed it down a bit, so
Did you notice you
get the
yeah.
emotion more into
Yeah.
it. And then it kind of helps with the projection as well if you slow it.
I mean, you're never going to be someone who performs loud and wide. That suits you. What did you think? Letitia, what did you think, darling?
I thought good clarity. I thought it was good casting of character. It suited you really well. Your voice was quiet, but as Vicky said, I think it works well with your character and your performance because that's what suits you. The only thing I put here that was not bad, but I think in the first one you should avoid looking at the floor, but you've done that less in the second one.
Did you prefer the first or second one?
Second one.
Second one. Yeah, okay. John?
Yes, like Tisha was saying, it suits you. Like, I couldn't imagine anyone else did playing it. Like it as well as you did, it's a compliment. Yeah, the second one especially, I mean, even you said the pace, the kind of slowing it down when you were talking about, you know, this deaf guy and how he's making those funny sounds. Like, in a sense, it's kind of funny, he's doing the impression. But it's also, like, you get across that it's quite sad. I imagine that guy would have been like a really terrible day for him and such. And yeah, kind of the way he sort of looked in this direction, like a bit down as he said it. It was kind of like you were thinking like, oh, gee, imagine he must have felt. It was good, it was reflective, you know, it suited kind of how it started off as a, you know, simple comment about something you'd been to and turned into a more thoughtful reflection.
Good, well done.